No one expected this. Not the analysts, not the insiders, and certainly not the fans. But something is happening inside the Las Vegas Raiders organization, something big enough to shake the entire quarterback conversation in the NFL. For weeks, whispers turned into rumors, and now those rumors are turning into real noise. If what I've learned is true, the Raiders may be on the edge of a decision that could redefine everything. So listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not just surprising, it's the kind of shift that forces everyone to rethink the future. My friend, news is breaking behind the scenes with the Raiders, and every fan needs to hear this immediately. The entire fan base is searching for clarity. Analysts are stunned. And for the first time in months, there's a legitimate sign that the franchise might be preparing to reshape the most important position in football. The energy in Las Vegas feels different, tense, electric, and filled with questions no one can answer yet. But I've gathered information that still hasn't touched any major outlet, and it's pointing toward a move that could completely redirect this offense. Before we dive deeper into the latest developments, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's keep moving toward the newest updates. The Raiders entered the 2025 season hoping veteran quarterback Geno Smith would finally deliver the stability this team has been craving for years. After a rough 2024 campaign, the organization believed his leadership, his experience, and those occasional bursts of sharp, efficient football could bring order to the offense and restore confidence. But as the season unfolded, the truth became harder to ignore. What showed up on the field was a pattern of inconsistency that no longer aligns with the expectations surrounding this roster. Yes, Smith has had moments, brief stretches where the rhythm clicks, the timing works, and the offense wakes up. But these moments fade quickly, overshadowed by long stretches where nothing flows the way it should. And then there are the turnovers. His interceptions, which place him among the highest in the league, have become more than numbers on a stat sheet. They're signs of a deeper issue that's starting to affect every part of this team's direction. Stay with me, the next part explains why the Raiders might be closer to a major decision than anyone realizes. They don't just hurt the stat sheet, these mistakes rip the momentum straight out of the team. Drive-ending errors. Sudden field swings. Situations that leave the defense exhausted and the entire roster carrying a weight that keeps getting heavier. And while no one in the building has gone on record about benching Geno Smith, the pressure around him is no longer subtle. It's real, it's growing, and everyone can feel it. Pete Carroll didn't return to the NFL just to watch a slow rebuild unfold. He came back to chase wins, immediately. The front office reinforced that mindset by pouring resources into offensive weapons: Brock Bowers, Ashton Jeanty, Trey Tucker, Michael Mayer. This wasn't a long-term experiment. This was a win-now commitment. That urgency is why national analysts have started connecting the Raiders to a possible future with Kyler Murray. CBS Sports' Tyler Sullivan was one of the first to say it plainly: if Las Vegas wants a dynamic, young quarterback in 2026, Murray checks every box. His mobility, his instinctual playmaking, and his ability to extend broken plays align almost perfectly with what Carroll prefers in late career coaching: speed, unpredictability, and explosive upside. And when you compare that potential fit to the version of the offense currently on the field, the contrast is hard to ignore. The young core the Raiders built is ready for a system full of movement and creativity. That's the kind of system Murray thrives in. It's the kind Geno Smith has struggled to deliver on a consistent basis. So the question that started as a whisper has now turned into something louder, echoing around the locker room, the front office, and the fan base: is Geno Smith truly fighting for his future as the Raiders quarterback, or is he only delaying a decision the organization already sees coming? Every throw adds to the conversation. Every turnover fuels speculation. Every stalled drive sharpens the urgency. And as those moments pile up, a deeper truth begins to surface: this is no longer just about one player. Because behind the quarterback debate lies a larger battle. The Raiders' offense is searching for the consistency it must have to survive the second half of the season. As Las Vegas crosses into the back half of 2025, one reality has become unavoidable. Time is running out. The team can't keep protecting an offense that has fallen well below expectations, especially after investing heavily in talent, coaching, and a new identity built to compete right now. Stay with me, the next part shows exactly how close this situation is to reaching a breaking point. Despite a bold offseason, a retooled staff, and one of the most aggressive preseasons this franchise has had in years, the Raiders' offense once again finds itself near the bottom of the league. 2 straight seasons of underperformance have created a level of frustration that's hard to ignore, especially because the flashes of potential are undeniable. There are moments, brief but brilliant, when everything clicks. Drives sparked after Brock Bowers' return showed an offense that moved with speed, clarity, and real danger. For a few possessions, you see exactly what this roster could be. But those glimpses vanish just as quickly as they appear. The one thing the Raiders haven't been able to capture is the one thing they need the most: consistency. Pete Carroll addressed that problem head-on this week. And he didn't sugarcoat anything. The issue isn't talent. The issue isn't preparation. The issue is the inability to perform the same way every week. One game, the offense looks alive, organized, confident, ready. The next, it collapses under pressure, especially when facing elite defenses like Denver's. A 2-game surge suddenly turns into another afternoon of stalled drives, protection breakdowns, and a quarterback unable to find rhythm long enough to sustain momentum. Carroll didn't shy away from the hard questions either. Was Denver simply too strong? Did the Raiders fail to execute? Or is there something deeper happening internally? Whatever the cause, he made one point absolutely clear: the time for searching is over. The answers must show up now. With Dallas on the schedule and the season entering its critical stretch, every week carries weight the Raiders can no longer ignore. They are running out of chances to fix the inconsistencies holding them back. Geno Smith feels that pressure just as intensely. He sits one interception away from tying the league lead, and he admitted that he has to stop hesitating and start trusting himself again. He knows he must protect the ball, play freer, and rebuild the confidence that once defined him. And he set a bold goal: finish the final stretch of the season as the league's most reliable quarterback when it comes to ball security. Stay with me, the next part reveals the turning point that could decide how the rest of this season unfolds. Geno Smith understands that ball security alone won't save this offense. Protecting the football is meaningless if the scoreboard stays quiet. Too many drives have died without points. Too many chances have slipped away because of miscommunication, collapsing pockets, or decisions that were simply too cautious for a team trying to climb out of a hole. Smith made it clear: this is the stretch where every lesson learned must finally turn into execution. Growth doesn't matter unless it shows up on Sundays. Chemistry doesn't matter unless it creates real production. Learning means nothing if it doesn't translate to plays that move the chains and put pressure on the opponent. What this offense needs now is urgency: stretching the field, sustaining drives, helping out the defense, and taking control early instead of scrambling late. The talent is there. This roster is built to deliver explosive plays. But the missing piece is confidence, the belief that they can sustain something powerful for an entire game, not just a handful of drives. And that missing confidence is exactly where the pressure starts to intensify. Because while the offense is fighting for consistency, the entire team was hit with a twist no one saw coming, something that could either snap them into focus or push them even deeper into uncertainty. That shift takes us straight into the most critical storyline heading into Monday night: injuries, and how a piece of unexpected news flipped the Raiders' outlook against Dallas. For the first time in almost 2 years, the Raiders received something they haven't had nearly enough of: genuinely good injury news. These last 2 seasons have been marked by bad timing and worse luck: key players sidelined during crucial stretches, momentum shattered, and entire game plans rewritten because another major contributor had to step away. And while the number of injuries in 2025 is technically lower than last year, the impact has been far more damaging. Starters have missed extended time, continuity has been torn apart, and the coaching staff's ability to build and expand the offensive identity has been limited at every turn. Stay with me, because what comes next reveals why this moment might finally shift the Raiders' momentum, or expose how fragile it really is. But this week, everything feels different. For the first time all season, the Raiders step into a crucial matchup with a roster that finally resembles the one they imagined back in training camp. The latest medical update listed only 5 players, and 3 of them, Aidan O'Connell, Dylan Parham, and Isaiah Polamau, were full participants throughout the week. That alone is a dramatic shift from how this year began. Their return gives Las Vegas a level of depth and flexibility that's been missing since week 1. Linebacker Cody Lindenberg was held out and Tyler Lockett practiced in a limited role, but both remain possible options depending on final evaluations. And when you compare this small, manageable list to last year's endless parade of injuries, the difference feels almost unreal. But even with the good news, 2 major losses continue to reshape the offense. Colton Miller's season-ending injury leaves a void at one of the most critical positions on the field. And rookie standout Jackson Powers Johnson heading to injured reserve only makes the situation tougher. Losing those 2 doesn't just affect pass protection, it changes the entire structure of the running game, something Pete Carroll hoped to rely on more heavily as the team searched for balance. Carroll did offer one piece of optimism earlier in the week: Parham's return avoids an even deeper crisis on the interior offensive line. But he didn't let anyone get comfortable. He reminded the team that availability means nothing if it doesn't turn into execution. The Raiders can't afford to let the past, injuries, missed opportunities, inconsistencies, dictate what happens next. There is enough talent in this locker room to compete. But the margin for error has shrunk to almost nothing. And that's what makes the current moment so delicate. Geno Smith is under more pressure than at any point this season. The offense is still searching for an identity that lasts for more than a few drives. And behind closed doors, a potential trade conversation with the Steelers is beginning to gain momentum, another sign that the organization may be preparing for changes sooner rather than later. Now the question becomes unavoidable: which move should the Raiders focus on if they want to save the 2025 season? Adjust the offense? Shake up the depth chart? Pull the trigger on a trade? Stay with me, because the next update could be the one that finally reveals which direction this franchise is truly headed.